Welcome to the Prosperity Podcast.
Prosperity thinkers, welcome to the podcast. We're going to be talking about why people with high incomes still feel broke. And here's the deal. If this podcast was aimed at the audience of use cash only Dave Ramsey audience, they would sit there and they go, oh, that's got to be a total lie. And if this was at the audience of why people with high income still feel broke and we were only talking to billionaires, they would actually say, well, okay, I understand. This audience is for the people that are still rising, that have some net worth, that have some momentum, and also maybe transitioning down the hill a little bit, as you've mentioned before, Kim. So Kim, first, let's talk why do people feel that way? And then we're going to unpack the mechanics and then help.
Well, it is interesting with what the definition is of high income or upper income in the United States, because it really doesn't take much. I don't know the exact statistics, but typically that 150,000 a year space, it puts you in the top 5%. And then I'm going to guess probably around 250 space puts you in the top 1%. And so that's been a space that I've operated in for a long time just because of our family and the fact that we own two businesses. And people in that space, especially if they're entrepreneurially oriented, maybe they don't literally own a business, but they're entrepreneurial thinkers. They're often salespeople or just people that control their income to a certain degree, are typically also providing a lifestyle for themselves that is eating up every single bit of that income. And so they have high income, but they don't have what they can see as the ability to build any type of wealth. And then you layer in the fact that all financial planners are focused on assets under management, which translates to the consumer side as net worth. And we've talked about this before, where all the focus is net worth. That doesn't affect your day-to-day lives. It's cash flow that affects that. But if you're not feeling like you can save anything from the cash flow that you're earning, you're really going to feel stuck. And so this is the space that we can make such a difference in. And it's not talked about by most typical financial planners and financial advisors because, one, they want to get straight to investments. That's where all the sexy stuff is. And two, it is not only in a guaranteed realm, but a very small amount of impact realm. So, for example, you take a family making $250,000 a year, maybe the typical financial planner, they're interested in that $500,000 IRA that they have, or that other account that's maybe at their brokerage and currently in Robinhood, for example, and it's, whatever six figures. That's what the typical financial planner is interested in. But that very family, if caught at the right time, can on a monthly basis make such a difference in their lives by stepping back off that investment realm that everybody else is focused on and do two things. One, realize that all families are on parallel paths of both investing or accumulating, if you will, assets and protecting those assets. So when you just identify that area of asset protection, people will commonly default to, it's legal structures, right? Wills, trust, that kind of thing. It's insurances, car insurance, home insurance, maybe even liability, umbrella insurance. And those are absolutely critical aspects of protection. But again, back to the two parallel paths, right? If we're going up the mountain, nobody is guaranteed the success at the top of the mountain. Things can interrupt that success. And there's some obvious ones like death, disability, lawsuits, market corrections, right? Job loss for a period of time, etc. But because we're on those two parallel paths, if fairly early on we can understand that by building the protection path alongside the asset accumulation path, and utilizing one of the insurance spaces that is a when, W-H-E-N, as opposed to an if. So car insurance, if insurance, right? Home insurance, if insurance. Health insurance even, if I have a problem and I need coverage. Disability insurance, it's an if insurance. But life insurance is a when insurance, W-H-E-N, because death is a guaranteed event. And so if you're looking at these parallel paths and you're understanding that the protection component can be built alongside the accumulation component as you're heading up the mountain, then as you head down the mountain and what would typically be called retirement, the protection component becomes so valuable because it can guarantee income. Every now and then I'll have what I call parents of clients on my phone. So my typical client, younger family, entrepreneurial, etc. But I'll occasionally get their parents, and they're typically in their 80s. And it is always amazing to me, shouldn't be, but it's always amazing to me, like I need the reminder all the time, right? That people in their 80s, they don't want to have their finances be complex. They want their finances to be simple and guaranteed. And so if you build the protection component alongside the asset component or the investment component, if you will, then when you're in your 70s and 80s and you're coming back down the mountain, you can guarantee, lock in, and simplify that cash flow control. Because what I'm learning from these types of people that I get to talk with every now and then is the only thing that matters is that paycheck that shows up every single month like clockwork. Obviously, Social Security is a part of that. But what else can we do when we're in our 30s, 40s, and 50s and 60s to build in that certainty, that simplicity, and even that guarantee that when we're in our 70s, 80s, and 90s, and hundreds, because that's going to become very common these days, our paycheck shows up like clockwork every single time, unaffected by stock market gyrations, real estate crashes, and positive rises, etc. And it is truly simple to do. It doesn't take a lot of time. It doesn't need to be overly complex, but it takes the knowledge that you can build both the protection component and the asset accumulation component at the same time in a way that they will benefit each other, not harm each other.
So good. Okay. I got to give you full disclosure on something. And one, I'm hoping that you didn't hack my computer. Okay. That's the first. So here's
No,
why.
I did not.
I didn't share with you my meeting prep notes. And I prep for all of these. I work on the topics and then I do the prep notes for it. And of course I use AI tools. There were only three points to cover. What did it talk about? Lifestyle inflation. Kim talked about. Check. Complexity.
No.
So aiming for simplicity over complexity. Check. Okay. The last one, and it's something we've talked about before, and we'll have to do this on another episode, which is why people with high incomes still feel broke is because of taxes. That's another episode. We've talked about this. But Kim, how cool that you were totally on track. And if we did have more time for the episodes, of course we would do taxes. You've kept it simple. You've kept it on track. You're helping the people that are in the driver's seat looking to be helped. For you listeners, if this resonated with you, make sure you smash that follow button, the subscribe button. And if you do have questions, there's an email specific and special, unique for you, which is hello@prosperitythinkers.com.
Thank you for listening to the Prosperity Podcast. To take control of your money and have it work for you, visit prosperitythinkers.com.